afraid. I was born to do this, right? So first thing I will tell you about when you're really scared is a couple of things that's going to help you long-term, right? Get super freaking clear on your why. Why are you doing this? I mean, deep reasons, not like I want a new car or I want a nicer home. I mean, the real whys, drill down deep. Stuff that is important to you that like, oh, you can kind of, it moves you when you start to decide. Get clear on your why. And then that is a reason to push through fear, okay? The bigger your why, the more fear you can conquer. And just for the record, guys, bravery does not mean you don't feel fear. Fools do not feel fear. Bravery is taking action when your voice is shaking and you're scared to death, okay? That's courage. Second thing, get yourself a couple of affirmations, one or two that really resonate with you, okay? This is more of a mindset thing before you get on the phone. And then, guys, I couldn't even make this up, okay? I've told this story a couple times that I started calling for sale by owners my first day with an active real estate license. I was just thrown on the phone in a giant room by myself with a script. That's it. That's all I had. And I was so nervous. We say, I was nervous. I was anxious. I was scared to death. Okay. That's what I actually was. And I was so scared to call these people that you guys know when you get an adrenaline rush, right? There's an adrenaline, too much of it, and you start to shake. Everybody here knows that feeling, right? So I was shaking, like my hands were trembling. And then the shaking got so bad, my voice sounded all squeaky and shaky and high. And then when I get super scared, my mouth just dries out like the Sahara. And I'm not kidding you, my tongue will stick to the side of my mouth. And I'm like I can't even talk. So I'm shaking. My voice is shaking. I sound scared. I had to have one of those little white, you guys remember those little cheap ass white styrofoam cups? I had to have a little styrofoam cup of water, and I had to keep taking sips of water to unglue my tongue from the side of my mouth. Okay, so Jeanette, that's how scared I was making the calls. I stayed that scared for weeks. For weeks, you guys. It took so much exposure until finally my brain was like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to die. Maybe we could cut back on the adrenaline dump just a little bit, right? I started to become acclimated to the job of calling for sale by owners. And then what would happen, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks, but for the longest time, I can't even tell you how long, months and months and months. I'm going to say, I bet it was like 9 months. That first call, I would still I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't be shaking, but I'd be like, ooh, okay, I have serious butterflies, right? And I'd have to do it anyway. And then, guys, stupid new stuff would happen. I'm like, okay, calling FSBOs. And then I'd look down, because back in the day, there was no such thing as online FSBOs. They would just print them off, and you'd print them and you'd have your printed FSBOs. And I'd look down and I'd go, it's $1 million house. And I get scared all over again. And we get to start the whole stupid chain reaction all over again, because high-priced homes, they really intimidated me deeply. The people did, the house did, the whole thing scared the hell out of me. Turns out, here's my personal experience. The higher price the home, the nicer the people were. I don't know why, but I didn't think it was going to be that way. If you have a block around luxury, please know some of the nicest and most calm people I've ever worked with have been in the higher price points. So, Jeanette, and I hope, yep, you just have to do it scared until you ain't scared no more. And there's only one way to not get scared. You have to keep doing it until your fear response stops. So what does that mean?
Her first expired was a $2.6 million listing.
Jeez. Yeah. And look what she said. And he was so nice. Dude, that, like, can I tell you, I'm really jealous. I'm really jealous. Like, good for you. It's proof it works. But part of me just wants to slap you just a little bit. Is that a terrible thing to say? Because I'm like, I've never had such good luck in my life.
No, I want to slap myself too. It was like I sat down with
Envy,
my first day and I
envy
was
is
like,
a
oh
sin for a
God.
reason, folks. It's ugly, isn't it? So, okay. So now you do it anyway. You show up to the call scared. You show up to the presentation scared, and you do it anyway. And, as much as you can, here's what's going to happen. The more prepared you are, even as a brand new person, the less scared you will be. Now, I do not want you to fall into this trap. You can never, ever prepare, never prepare by getting ready to get ready, to get ready, to get ready to start. Notice, I started making calls my first day when I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to be a real estate agent. I didn't have a freaking clue. I was a menace to the public because I was so clueless, right? And I did it anyway. And so I have a question, because I know a lot of agents fall in this trap. Well, I'll start calling when I memorize my scripts and when I have this and when I have that. Has anybody here ever learned how to ride a bike by reading a book? Does that work out for anybody? Or did you just have to get on the bike and like fall off 103 times and run into a car because you forgot, you didn't know how to stop? Okay, that's how you learn. And there's no way getting around it except to go through it, right? Go boldly. And so the with all of that said, I will tell you this: the more prepared you are, the less scared you will be. Okay, so as you're prepping for your calls, what should you be doing? Yeah, you should be role playing your scripts. At the very, very least, you guys, I got the something I've done for years. Let's just say this was my script. I would read it out loud 4 or 5 times before I got on the phone. Why? I needed to warm up. I needed to warm up my mouth. I needed to get in the groove. I needed to say the words, kind of work the jitters out, right? So I would read through it out loud a few times. Have your scripts in front of you, all right? In front of you all the time. Have your objection handlers print it out. Have your closes printed out. Every time you get to an objection that you can't overcome, you should write it down, and then make it your mission in life to find 3 ways to handle that objection. Whether you research it online, whether you send it to us and we tell you how we handle it, whether you go to agents in your office and ask them how they handle it, go to your broker and ask them how you handle it. There are people all around you that want to help you and see you succeed that will help you with that, right? So every time you can't overcome an objection, you write it down, you figure out 3 objection handlers, and then you practice them. I'm probably snapping right in the mic. That's really obnoxious. And so how do you practice objection handlers? Guys, you just read them. You just read them until you get comfortable saying them. You know what I mean? Then the next piece is, when you're going on your listing, have a listing script. Have it printed out. Have it with you physically when you show up on that listing. Have the objections to listing. Like, we have a friend in the business. We want to think about it. Another agent said they could get me more. We want to wait. We don't want to price it out there. We want to price it high and leave room for negotiating. Have your objection handlers to those printed out with your script and have them in front of you. And you can just refer down and you're taking notes and answer questions. But if you know that you've got the ability to walk in and have an intelligent conversation with the seller, you're going to feel a lot more relaxed than if you walk in with nothing. Because guys, even the best in the world who know this stuff like forwards and backwards, sometimes you just get hit in the face with an objection or something, or you're through the presentation and your mind just goes blank and you're like, oh my gosh. Whereas if you've got it in front of you, no worries, right? So I'm just looking. Okay, very